This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Avast me hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I'm your Captain Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me as always is my first mate and skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey Mozz. Oh, welcome once again to Agent Carter, Season 2, Episode 9, A Little Song and Dance. Peggy desperately tries to save Dr. Wilkes with a dangerous plan to stop Whitney Frost, but Thompson makes a surprising move that could destroy them all. Our director this week is Jennifer Getzinger. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, of course, have those based on Marvel Comics by credits. Writing, they got Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely with our created bys. Our teleplay by this week is Chris Dingus. The story by is from Michelle Fazekas and Tara Butters. And then Sue Chung and Eric Pearson are our executive story editors. Two executive story editors over that hardest working woman in show business, Lindsay Allen, our regular old story editor. Okay, and this... Yes. I'm sorry, what?
I said you need those.
You need those. Well, you know, there's so much she has to do being so hardworking, she actually needs two executives over her to make sure that it's just so much they have to supervise. One executive story editor could not supervise as much story editing as she does. So, wow. That working woman in show business, Mozz. Okay, getting back to the actual story. A little song and dance. And, of course, as the title implies, we open with a big musical number. Da-da-da-da-da-da. How do you feel about big musical numbers, Mozz?
As long as they're in a dream, I'm perfectly fine with them.
Okay. I don't think I've ever had a musical dream. So I
don't think I have either.
Yeah, so even when they're in a dream, it's kind of odd to me.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it's fine. It's a showpiece. They wanted to do it, and they wanted to do that so they could get to the end gag at the end of it. But we also, most importantly in this, we actually were able to get Angie into this series.
Angie?
Angie. Remember the waitress? Gotcha. Yeah. Season 1? Yeah. That way I remember when it was first announced that they were going to California, everyone was like, "Oh, that's going to be so great! Angie's going to be exploring life as a Hollywood actress," and da-da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da-da. Nope, no Angie to the last episode, or I'm sorry, the penultimate episode. Take a drink, and we get our song and dance about you're torn between two lovers, yada yada yada. We get a little bit from Dottie in this, where she says, "Oh, come on, Peg, I'm always in your head," which was delightful. And then, Jarvis comes in to break it up, and then, of course, Rose comes in and says, "I'm sorry, you're just not right for the Auerbach Talent Agency." And then she wakes up in the back of the van with Jarvis because they had been captured. Because, as we saw last episode, Jarvis tried to shoot Whitney and actually succeeded in it for all the good it did. And Whitney basically realized that in order to control Wilkes, she needs to have Peggy under control as well. Because, he loves her. That's how it goes in Hollywood. And... that relationship, and I really think that relationship never gets properly resolved in these last 2 episodes, but we'll get to that next episode. Because at this time, Wilkes is still a villain. Wilkes is still a bad guy. And I think that's important because I think throughout most of this episode, everyone is like, why are you defending this man? Is it just because you've got a thing for him? And in truth, I don't know how I feel about that. Because I don't know exactly where Peggy's loyalty is. Well, I do know where her loyalty is on that. She is very against killing, even people like Frost and Kurtwood Smith. Although, in the moment,
I think she sees redemption, and she's a fan of that. And I think she also sees his value as the person he was. Mm-hmm. And if you can find a way to get him back to that, isn't that what we should all be aiming for?
Yeah, I guess so. But at the same time, it's a big risk to take when we're dealing with lots and lots of zero matter, because that is the problem of the week in this, is that we have a surplus of zero matter that wants to devour the universe. In this moment, Peggy and Jarvis do escape the truck and do have their own little confrontation as they go. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, over with Thompson and Sousa and Samberly, they realize they're starting to worry that what happened to them. They disappeared and were left out here in the desert to die. When they see the SSR car coming, but they realize it's Kurtwood Smith's men. And Thompson, of course, quickly realizes, as does Sousa, that they're not coming to save them or to take them back to Holding, that they're probably going to put them in the hole, or that they're probably going to put them in a hole in the desert. Right.
They're simply loose ends at this point.
Yes. But this is where Thompson starts his plan and starts, I think, showing his value. I think I know there'll be some disagreement about this. Maybe this episode, maybe next episode. But I think in this moment he understands, and this I think is where you get the basic disconnect between someone like Thompson and someone like Peggy. Peggy is an idealist, and Thompson is not, because Thompson understands, or at least Thompson is thinking about the angles and the compromises and what needs to be done to get them to the next step. Because essentially what he does is he portrays himself as, the person who captured Samberly and Sousa instead of as their co-conspirator, which arguably just, and I can see, one can see how this looks like he might just be saving his skin, but we do see that he does have a broader plan and is quite manipulative in the way he deals with everybody. I think I like Sousa's story in this, not Sousa, but Thompson's story in this, specifically because he shows that he understands how to work with people, understands how to tell them what they want to hear to get them to do what he wants. And right. I think that's a positive thing, and especially for a person in the game that he's in.
Right, I mean, because scratching the bottom of the barrel if we're looking for things to take pride in Thompson for.
Well, I'm very proud of Whitney Frost in this as well.
Yeah.
I think that she is pretty awesome for everything she does, but she is venial and manipulative and a monster too.
Right, but she has a code. She has a guideline of ethics that she lives by. Thompson is moment to moment, whatever is most convenient.
Well, I think that Thompson has a code as well, and I think it is a code that says what's best for Thompson. But I don't think Whitney's is anything other than what's best for Whitney. And like this is what I was going to say. I like the fact that what Thompson does, he puts himself in a situation where if it ever goes south, he has an out, but he's also planning on what will do the most good and solve our problems and also keep me safe.
I think any decision he makes aimed in that direction is something he accidentally falls upon. It's like the last resort. I might as well do it. It'll do some good too. That's how I see it.
No, see, I think that it's very intentional and deliberate from his initial talking, the guards into taking Samberly back with him, talking.
I mean, he had no other choice in that moment.
Yeah, he did.
Do what? He knew they were there to kill him too. He knew they were there to kill him too, because he had already run out on what's his name, the general. He'd already turned his back on him, and he knew they were there to kill him too. And they said as much to him. Hey, listen, we were here sent to kill you too. So it was an act of self-preservation. He really had no choice.
No, it wasn't an act of self-preservation. What I'm saying is his act of self-preservation, if it was truly venial, he could have said, because I don't know what you're talking about. I don't recall that. Remember, he had his brain wiped. He didn't recall what he had done. And the fact of the matter is he could have then just shot Sousa and said, I still think we need Samberly.
A better solution. It's like he was backed into a good decision every time. That's what I think.
Well, but so long as he comes to a good decision, I don't know if it's a problem that he was backed into it.
He's a good person and not just a lazy person that occasionally lazes himself into the same direction as good.
Well, no, because I think it would be much easier for him to do the full heel turn.
No, I think the heel turn would have been more work in this situation.
Well, I get the feeling that
because if he turned on them, then they would have said, no, he's not here capturing us. He was helping us.
Yeah, so but then that just gets all three of them killed.
Right, as opposed to just the two of them. That's why he couldn't turn on them.
Unless he and here's what I'll say, unless he shoots Sousa first.
Right, exactly. And it's like if he can get away without shooting, he's not an evil person. He's just a lazy coward.
Yeah, well, fair enough, because I'm not going to deny that he's not a lazy coward, but I'm also say I'm impressed by the plan he has laid. I think he built out a very smart and intricate plan.
Sure.
With a lot of double crosses, to be sure, but all double crosses that I think in the end serve himself as they're serving the story. And to put it simply, without his double crosses, I think Peggy would have gotten them all killed. Because I think their original plan, which is, here's what I'm going to say. Their original plan was, okay, Kurtwood's going to shoot Whitney, which we don't even know if that's going to work. All we know is that maybe it's going to knock the zero matter out of her. But, even in that, it's just this attempt to attack her, which may which may cause her to attack. And if it doesn't work, she's going to kill all of them. Plus, it puts them in debt to Kurtwood Smith, meaning that he's always going to have something over them. And he realizes the only way any of us get out of this is if we can take out Kurtwood and Whitney with extreme prejudice right now. Because Whitney is a real danger, not just an esoteric danger, but a real danger to all of us, to the world, is the argument. And so, yeah, he needs to do that. And then he also knows that, quite frankly, the Arena Club is a danger to everyone as well. And they're already, already disheveled. But, if we can take out Kurtwood, that gives us some strength too. So I think the idea of, I think Thompson's plan, although yes, it was definitely, here's what I'll say. Kurtwood's plan was the kind of plan that I think Peggy would have come up with from the way she says how she would be. Because, we saw when Wilkes, threatens Peggy, she says, well, you should have let him shoot me because I would never, I would, you always let the other person die if it progresses the mission. For the good of the mission, you let the other person die. And that is how Peggy may say she wants to be, but as we see through this, she's not. She is softer than that. But getting back to the actual story, Peggy and the gang do get back to, Peggy and Jarvis do get back to SSR headquarters, where she immediately starts to pummel poor Kurtwood Smith. Love you too, Tristan. Which is both comedic and scary, because it really looks like she's going to kill this old man. Because, not for nothing, she is a
I'm surprised he wasn't much worse for the wear.
Yeah, well,
Like, there was no blood, no bruising. I was like, man, she looked like she went to town on his face.
Yeah, well, maybe he's really good at, rolling with the punches. I don't know, but yes. You should have seen it. It would have made the story much more complex. Or maybe Peggy's just is good enough to know how to hurt you without leaving a bruise.
Fair enough.
She's got those kung fu moves. But yeah, and that's where we do see Thompson's plan start to play out, which is, we're going to. And that's what. See, I like this episode again. Like I said, I really feel this is Thompson's episode. I really feel this is where we get to give Thompson this really strong arc where, yes, he's venal, he's cowardly, whatever, but he's also intelligent and a planner, and you see that he's more than just a big dumb guy who can beat people up. You can see that he's more than just, a loud, a person who can shout orders out through a bullhorn. He's a guy who can actually plan and strategize. And his plan is, that what they say. He tells, we need to take out. He appeals to Kurtwood by playing to his vanity, saying, you don't like taking, orders from this woman. Let's blast her with the gamma cannon. We'll bring her the gamma cannon. We'll blast her with it. Knock the zero matter right out of her. Bring her down to our level, and then take it from there, arrest her, and deal with that. Meanwhile, when he goes to Whitney, he sells out Kurtwood, explains what the plan is, and then says, I want to be on the council, and I want this and the other, and plays into her senses of, this is a venial, power hungry monster. I can work with that. And then the third act is no, actually he was playing both of them because his plan is to have Samberly turn the gamma device into a bomb to blow them both up and essentially save the day. And of course this goes wrong because because Peggy goes to get Wilkes, and Wilkes says, don't save me. You leave, I can't be saved. I have this too much dark matter in me, and I can't leave, because if I leave, it is already going to tear me apart. And Peggy
it's probably going to kill a lot of people.
Exactly, and that's what he was saying. He's like, look, you have got to leave. This is not safe. I have to be here. And okay, if he blows up the gamma thing, maybe that'll take me out too, and that would be a good thing. And Peggy is willing, arguably, to sacrifice everyone for this one person who has already turned on them once. For what it's worth, for all of for everything that Thompson has done, he's never turned on anyone in the SSR. He's never actually done a full villainous turn to, I'm going to work with the bad guys. Every time he's made a venial or a petty choice or a cowardly choice, it was always in its own way in the service of a greater good or a greater idea of good. And Wilkes, when he betrays them, he really has betrayed them because he wants to figure out what's going on and get to the answers of his powers. And now, once he gets it, he realizes...
Maybe he was a bit seduced by the idea of so much power and being able to control it, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of side aspects to it. I'm just saying, it's a mistake to think of, Thompson's plan as being bad just because he doesn't mind that Wilkes dies in this too, because Wilkes has already betrayed them once.
Right.
And in fact, Samberly makes the point: isn't he with the bad guys now? Didn't we just go over this? But it goes into that whole idea that she does not want to sacrifice these people. She's okay to sacrifice the other people, but not for this one. Although she was never even that good with sacrificing them, which is the point she made. She would rather bring Kurtwood Smith to justice. She would rather bring Whitney Frost to justice if they can find a way to do that. The only reason why she's tolerating is it because she does understand there really was no way to bring them to justice. So that was the split decision, literally, because, Sousa's the deciding vote on it, but she draws the line at Wilkes. And, they go and they have this little confrontation where basically they have this discussion that if we do not kill Whitney and Kurtwood, and what he says is like, look, Whitney is killing Kurtwood right now, and I'm going to hit this button, and that's going to, as soon as I get clear, I'm going to hit the button, that's going to kill them. And then he realizes it doesn't work, realizes it's them, goes and confronts Samberly and Sousa, and that's where they have their big confrontation. Peggy's got her gun out. She's going to shoot Thompson. Thompson says, I'm going to push the button. And then the explosion happens. And that's where... Well, actually, the explosion doesn't happen. What actually happens is we see Wilkes come out of the room he locked himself in, because just prior to this... Kurtwood has been, as he is being killed by Whitney, she stops because she realizes he's smiling, and he says, "'Cause they got you too." And then she turns around and realizes that the gamma bomb is armed, and then just as that happens, that's when Wilkes comes in and explodes in zero matter, and then everything goes to black. And then we come back to it next week, Mozz. Dun, dun, dun. It ends on a cliffhanger. What happened? We don't know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Well, actually, we will know because there's one more episode after this penultimate episode. Take a drink.
Oh, is that the little short?
No, the next episode is the final episode.
That's what I'm saying, but whatever happens at the end of that episode, we never get inkling as to who did it or why.
Never get that. That is the mystery it ends on.
What a shame.
And yeah, it is a shame. Well, it was a shame we never got back to Agent Carter. She wound up signing on to another TV show. There was a lot of politics with the whole Agents thing and whether or not they were going to do another Carter season. Really, her and the woman who played Sif, they all had there was a lot of back and forth with everybody, and especially because Feige was having kind of a tug of war about the future of Marvel with the person who was in charge of Marvel Television. And so eventually it got to be so bad that Disney had to essentially slap them both and say, Feige's in charge. He makes us billions of dollars. You guys shut up and do as you're told. And that gets us to our current era, the Disney Plus era, where Feige is in charge of everything. And where... I think we're going to be getting a lot of great things. So now the question on everyone's mind is, does Feige hold a grudge? I don't think he does, because I think one thing Feige is going to be doing, which I'll talk about on Super Connectivity this week with Phil, is I think he actually is going to be wanting to revisit things that were done poorly, but show how they could be done right.
I'm with that.
And I think so we may get some stuff back with Carter, and I don't think he's going to just throw out the baby with the bathwater. I think he's going to bring it in, tacitly acknowledge what it was, but then say, but here's the deeper truth, and take it from there. So we'll see what happens.
Are we getting a Punisher movie?
I've heard
rumblings, right?
Well, there's always rumblings about a Punisher movie. Basically, at Disney right now, everything's on the table. Except right now, nothing's on the table because of COVID. So, but yeah, I mean, back when they were making movies constantly, it was like, yeah, Punisher's a real possibility. Everything's a real possibility. And the reality is everything is still a possibility once things sort of start to move back to normalcy and we start to move forward with things. As it is, we have to get to that point.
Right.
So, but for right now, hopefully Feige's going to come back. Hopefully we'll get resolutions to this. We'll get resolutions to Peggy Carter's story. This, I would love, I know that there is a demand out there to find out what's going on with Dottie Underwood, and what's going on with how the next episode ends. And, there's a lot going on. But we'll talk about all that next week. Mozz, any final thoughts on tonight's show?
No, I thought it was a good one, but I'm really excited to talk about the next one.
Yeah, next one is that's our big Hollywood ending, like the title says. So in the meantime, lords and ladies who have been listening to our show, perhaps you're listening on substandard audio equipment, and that is a shame because there's great things being talked about here. So why don't you hustle on over to tweakedaudio.com. Yeah, it's tweakedaudio.com. Use the coupon code Southgate to get a discount on any of the high-quality audio equipment you will find over there at tweakedaudio.com. Likewise, you can use that same code over at huntakiller.com to basically get an escape room delivered to your house once a week or once a month, which is pretty awesome. They're even starting a new Blair Witch-themed mystery for you to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that should be exciting. And, of course, if none of that really interests you, you can always go down to the show notes, click on the Amazon link, which will take you right to Amazon.com, where you can buy anything you want. And it costs you nothing to buy it there, but it helps us if you click from the link on our show notes. So that's great. And while you're there, check out Pod Life, the book produced by and from the Southgate Media Group empire. Little vignettes written by the men and women of Southgate Media Group about who they are, why they podcast, and how podcasting has and will change the world. And once you've done all that, if you would like to get in touch with us, Mozz, how can they do that?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way the way our Mozz and Poz once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things that are live when I feel like tweeting them, which is not often because nothing's really live anymore. At Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE. Yes, SER. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Mozz. All right, you filthy landlubbers. You have come across another wonderful evening walking with us through the world of Peggy Carter. Please come aboard again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. All